Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Joseph Pisani, and I am a technical specialist here with Mevo. And this is the Mevo Audio Show. So, if you're new to the show, if this is your first time seeing us, we here at Mevo do 4 shows a week. We do a Tuesday show, which is the Mevo Ask Mevo Anything show, and that is with Joe Capehart, our senior technical specialist. And he basically does a one camera shoot and shows you the ins and outs of how to use that camera. He also answers questions live on the show, which is great. So if you want to get your questions answered right away, tune into his shows on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we have the Mevo Multicam show, and this is with Will. Now, on this show, Will breaks down all the ins and outs of the Multicam app, which was recently released. It also pairs very nicely with the Mevo Start 3-pack, which we'll be talking about in just a few. Our Thursday show is Mevo Live. On the Mevo Live show, it's generally Joe and Will, and they really expand on what you can do with the Mevo. They hook it up to Streamlabs OBS, they do screen sharing, they do all kinds of different views, and put on a whole big production with the Mevo just to kind of show the customers and show you, the users, what the extent of the Mevo you can do. Then, of course, Friday, you know what that means. It's the Mevo Audio Show live with me. And today, we got a great show planned for you. We're going to be talking a little bit about podcasting, as that is a very, very common use for the Mevo. So I'm going to go over how to run audio for that and some good tips and tricks to get a good podcast audio, get good quality audio out of your podcast, and also, how to use the cameras as well. And then we're going to dive into the Multicam app a little bit. I'm going to show you the different ways you can bring audio into the Multicam app. This has been a very, very popular app with us recently. We just launched it. It's going crazy. So I want to make sure everyone that's using it understands how the audio works. Great. So before I get into that, let's just mention, if you're a Mevo customer and you want to help Mevo spread some Mevo love, please sign up for a referral. So with the Mevo referral program, you can get your own coupon code, and then for your friends and family, you can save them 5% and earn a 5% commission on your end as well. So you can do that at mevo.com/referral or mevo.com/refer. And of course, as I mentioned, we just got them back in stock in the warehouse. So if you want to grab it, definitely pick it up as soon as possible. This is the Mevo Start 3-pack. So this pack is available with 3 Mevo Starts, as you can see. It's exclusively at mevo.com. And I believe right now it's $9.99. So a huge discount on that third Mevo. So this is great. So again, these are our shows, but let's talk about what we're doing today. So we're going to talk a little bit about our setup. I have a lot of Mevo cameras set up to show you. We're going to go over some popular scenarios like podcasting. That's our topic for today. And then we're also going to dive into how to use audio with the Mevo Multicam. And of course, as always, I will be answering your questions live here on the show. So if you do have questions, please put them in the comments. I know Will is in the comments section right now monitoring that, and he'll send them my way. So if you have any questions you want answered live on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're watching, please participate in the show and put the questions in the comments. Great. So now that we got through that, let's get into our goals for today. Oop. All right. So let's talk about some popular scenarios. So podcasting is something that people have been growing with the Mevo since its inception. It's been one of the more popular things that, as far as media or entertainment, as far as streaming, there's over 1 million podcasts on iTunes right now, I'm pretty sure. So it's out there, right? So when you're using a multi-pack or the 3-pack with the Mevos, and you have 3 Mevos, and you want to put this thing together, how are you going to run your audio? Because one half of podcasting may be video, but another half of podcasting is getting that good audio to send out as well. So let's look at some of the things that you might want to use as far as equipment is concerned. And then let's also give a couple of shout outs as well. So straight off the bat, earlier today in the Mevo customer group, I asked to see what are you guys doing with podcasts? And this one came in. So this is from Art. He has a pretty awesome setup right here. And on his setup, he's saying he uses a Mevo Start on a Mevo table stand, and he's using the Shure MV8 podcast mic. I believe that's the Shure mic. I think that's a USB mic, if I'm not mistaken, all hooked up to his laptop. And what Art is here, he's got a podcast going. It looks like he has 6 people on his podcast, and he's sending this stream out to his customer base or his audience via StreamYard. So if you're not familiar with StreamYard, StreamYard is a website that allows you to restream feeds. So you can bring in cameras from different sources, and then you can hop on StreamYard and then send them out, similar to how Vimeo works with the Mevo when you're using the multiple destination feature. But I thought this was really cool, and he's using the Mevo Start as well. So shout out to Art. Thank you for that. I also did some digging. I found this one. So shout out to Bobby Jones. On this setup, he's actually using the Mevo Plus, which is pretty cool. He with the Mevo Plus, especially with this type of setup, he's probably using the autopilot mode, where he can bounce around between shots, where it looks like he has more cameras than needed. So if you look closely, you'll see the Mevo Plus right up in front. And then you'll see two chairs set up, and the angle he's at with the angle of the table is very strategic, because the Mevo Plus has a nice wide angle. So he's probably capturing two people here pretty easily, and he can cut to either of them using the gestures inside the Mevo 2.0 app. So if you're not sure what I mean by that, I can show that to you right here. So what he can do is he can set up a couple of static shots. Let's set up that one. And let's set up this one. So now if he's doing his podcast, he can bounce back and forth with one camera, where it looks like he has two. Let's get back to that. Bring that back to the wide. So you can set that kind of shot up with this setup, where he has that Mevo Plus, has that nice wide angle. It's on the corner of the desk. So it's definitely doing a great job in capturing the whole scene. So shout out to Bob for that. I like that setup a lot, actually. And what a great picture. I mean, what a great picture. So let's talk a little bit about the equipment. So right off the bat, if you want to do a podcast, this is really what you would need. Now, again, you don't have to have, I'm going to put a caveat on this. You can do a podcast with a cell phone and a Mevo, right? You can use the remote mic app, get yourself a nice, a nice distance mic to your mouth, and then obviously the Mevo. You don't even need a phone. You could use the Mevo's internal microphones and do your own podcast that way as well. But if you want to get that good quality audio and you want to compete in the podcast space, these are some things I would recommend. So right off the bat, we have the Mevo Start, obviously. And then what you want is a dynamic microphone. So the microphone I'm using today is the Blue Bluebird. Now, this is a condenser microphone, so this is going to have a little bit of different tonality. It's a little bit different as far as distance and how far away you can be from the mic, how much the mic picks up, how much of the room the mic picks up. So a very popular podcasting mic would be something like the Shure SM7B, which is a dynamic microphone. So this microphone is, you have to be a little bit closer to it. It takes a more direct signal, and I can give you an example of what that sounds like. So let's take a look at this. Let's talk about the SM7B. So I think we have one right here. Oh, we do. All right, cool. So let's slide into our mixer, which also is on this slide, which is my next thing, is the mixer soundboard. So you want your microphone plugged into your mixer. And then we'll talk about headphones as well as we're doing this. So what I have here is closed back headphones. This is really important for you to have. And you know what? Before I even get into the mic stuff, let's talk about this. So right now, I'm actually not using closed back headphones because mine are broken. They broke in a transportation accident. But I do recommend them if you're doing any type of podcasting or any type of monitoring. You want closed back headphones, and this way you don't have any extenuous sound coming out of the headphones getting into your microphones. If you're using an open back headphones, which is what I have here, these are generally for mixing. These have a little, basically they have a path of air that can come in and out. So when you put them on, it almost feels like you don't even have them on. It feels like you're just listening to speakers. That's not the best thing you want for a podcast, because again, these can bleed out, especially if the audio is a little too loud. So closed back headphones are definitely a must there. All right, so let me show you a little bit of why I say go with the dynamic microphone versus the condenser microphone for a podcast situation. So what you're hearing right now is me on the Blue. Okay, this is the condenser microphone right here. But we're going to switch over to the SM7B real quick. So on this first channel is the Blue microphone. Now I want you to notice that my input gain right here is probably floating around, I want to say, I guess like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, around there. And on my input gain on my Shure, which you can't really see in this shot, but it's actually more towards like 2, 3 o'clock. So a lot higher of an input gain on the Shure, because this requires more input gain to get signal out. So the way I have this set up is I can lower myself on the Blue using this fader here. And now I'm using the SM7B right here. So you'll notice a huge difference in the sound. So I'm going to put my monitoring up a little bit and see if I can do some comparative and maybe do a little bit EQing. So I'm coming in low as far as tonality. So I want to actually drop some of my mids out and maybe put some of my ups, my highs up, and maybe even bump a little bit low just to give my voice a little bit more bass. So you guys let me know in the comments how that sounds to you. And please, again, if you have any questions about the setup, if you have any questions about how to, anything really as far as pertaining to the Mevo, please put them in the comments and participate in the show. Okay, so again, this is the Shure SM7B. So obviously I need to get closer to it. You see how I'm leaning forward, I'm leaning into this mic. So with a mic like this, they're really designed to be right up in front. Where on a mic like the Blue, I could be a little bit further away and it sounds like a similar level volume, right? So you're also going to hear a little bit more warmth probably with this one. If you're looking at my EQs, I actually kind of doing the opposite on the Blue than I am in the Shure, right? So the Blue, I find it to be a little bit, has a little more high end than the Shure does. So I actually came down on my high end on the Blue. I went up on my high end on the Shure. So let's hear that comparatively again. So I should probably take that off, but this is the Shure SM7B. And this is the Bluebird. So comparative for sure, but you'll notice that the Bluebird is a hotter mic, right? It's a little more sensitive to the volume controls, whereas the SM7B is a little tighter. So that's why you want something like the SM7B or a dynamic microphone similar to it for podcasting, because it's going to give you that direct, tight signal, less room noise, less air coming into the microphone. Cool. And then the next thing is the mixer, right? So I have my, like I said, I have my SM7B is coming into my mixer here on channel 2. And then my output from my mixer is going directly into the 3.5 millimeter input of the, oh, let me find it. There it is. Of the Mevo Start. So right there. So if you look on the top right, the 3.5 millimeter input, it looks very similar to a headphone jack. That is on the back of the Mevo Start, and that's what I'm coming in from my mixer. Now, the reason why I say it's good for you to have a mixer, especially if you're doing podcasting, is you can do different things. So for example, if I want to just add some music into my mix, right? Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. So I have my music coming in also to my mixer right here. So this is my stereo output from my audio interface, which is to my left. This is sending music to this channel. So, but I have full control over this channel now. So if I'm doing a podcast and I want to throw some music in for whatever, some type of transition or something like that, I could just use my mixer, give myself a little volume there, and have that come directly in. Cool. So let's go back to our slides here. Great. So that really is the basics. You know, that's really all you need if you want a good quality podcast, is just a decent mic. Maybe get yourself a mixer. Maybe you don't have one. The Mevo Start, obviously, and a nice pair of headphones. Cool. Okay. So one thing I want to mention too is if you don't have access to a mixer, or if you want to do something that's a little bit more advanced, I want you to take a look at Bob's slide again. Because if you notice on his table, he has a Rodecaster Pro. So the Rodecaster Pro is very popular with podcasting. In fact, I have it right here. This is a device that's built by Rode, and essentially it's a whole mixer and selector in one. What's great about this is it offers 4 headphone outs, which is great when you're using that for the Mevo. So you can take, as far as like if you are using something like this, so let me just recommend it. A 1/4-inch stereo to 3.5 millimeter stereo cable will do the trick when using something like the Rodecaster. You can come right from the back, and I would definitely recommend coming from one of the headphone outputs. The reason why I recommend coming from the headphone output, because now you have a input gain adjustment directly on your board that go into your Mevo. So what do I mean by that? So for example, if I wanted to send this signal here, this is the headphone output. Let's see if we can see it right there on the top. That's the headphone output. I can control that output independently from the main mix using this control. So that's great for me because now I can control how much input is going into the Mevo that line is connected to, and I can toggle that right from my mixer on here or the Rodecaster, and I don't have to go into the Mevo app if I don't want to adjust those settings. So if you have multiple cameras set up and you want to have access just right at your hand, you can do it right from there, which is a huge advantage, especially if you're doing one-man shows like kind of how I'm doing today. All right. And then, like I said, the advantage can be controlled individually. So let's dive into some questions. I think I see some questions popping up. Let's take a little break and dive into those. Jesus from YouTube says, hi. Hey, Jesus. Hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the show. Fred the Hippo. Awesome. So he says, can you explain how those EQ dials work and how it affects the audio? Sure, 100%. Let's dive right into it. So let's use, right now we're still on the SM7B, so we're going to use that for the example. Let me just crank my monitoring a little bit so I can hear what you guys hear. Okay, so this is a 3-band EQ, and these are the blue knobs right here. The red knobs are your auxiliary sends, which is just another option to route audio or to bring in things like reverb. So if I want to bring in some reverb like this, check 1, you guys should hear that. Yeah, so if I want to have some reverb into my mix, I can do that with my effects, or I can change the function of this knob and have that be another output. But your question was about EQs. So if you look at this EQ, it's a 3-band EQ. It has a high, mid, and a low. And it also has a low cut. So what this is going to do, this little button, it's going to roll off anything under 80 hertz. So on a frequency spectrum for an EQ, or for human ears, we can hear mostly from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's our spectrum, right? That's our perceived spectrum of sound. Now, there are sounds below that, there are sounds above that, but they don't hear us. But this is why dog whistles work. So on the low cut, that's going to just roll off 80 hertz and below. Because realistically, the human voice only produces between, let's say, 100 hertz to, I mean, just for listening purposes, like 12K, maybe 15K, if you get up there on a high female voice, maybe. But generally, you know, in that range, you know, we have a more of a high mid-range type voice just as humans, unless you have a really deep low voice. But chances are you're probably not going to be needing anything that's under 100 hertz, right? Because that's just going to be mud in your mix. So this little button right here just cuts all that right out. Now you can affect this more. So let's see what my range is here. Okay, cool. I'm sorry, the low cut was 60 hertz. This is an 80 hertz range. Okay, so essentially what these are doing is the mid is at 2.5 kilohertz, the highs are at 12 kilohertz, and the lows are at 80. So these guys are, there's no variable curve for these. So this is just a plus 15 or a minus 15. And what's happening is it's going to take an average Q, which means like the bell of the curve, and it's going to push it up or it's going to pull it down. Now, a lot of people, when they're using EQs, they first instinct is to just put things up, right? I'm going to crank it up. Oh, I need more high end. I'm going to crank more end. Really, if you need more high end, the move is to probably lower your low end, right, and reduce some noise. So this is called a reductive EQ or subtractive EQ. When you're doing something like this, it's not when you're subtracting, you're not affecting the audio as drastically as when you're increasing or adding using additive EQ. Let me slide this over. So let's play around with it. So let's say I just pull all of my low end out. So what this is doing is anything under, I guess it's just taking 80 hertz and just bringing down a bell. So you can hear my voice got really thin, right? There's no bass to my voice anymore. So what I'll do in these situations is I'll start here and then I'll bring it up until I feel like it's comfortable. So let me just do some checking here. We're just going to turn that knob a little bit, and this feels way nicer. Now you can do the same thing with your mids. You can drop them out completely or see what it sounds like when you crank them up. So here's a little trick. This is a fun trick. So if you want to create some type of cell phone effect, what you do is you just drop your lows and your highs, and it's a little peaky. Sorry, that will happen because I'm cranking this EQ. Drop that down a little bit, but now it creates that kind of cell phone effect because when you're listening to tiny speakers like cell phones or anything like that, those speakers don't represent low frequencies like low sub frequencies or any crazy major high frequencies. So you do get this kind of cell phoney, teeny kind of noise. So let's bring in my highs a little bit. I'm gonna drop my. I actually like to drop my mids on the SM7B. I like to give myself a little warmth with the low end. Maybe give myself a little bit more crisp high end. And then I think that sounds fine. I think that sounds okay. And there you go. So what I would recommend if you do have an option to mess around with EQs like this, just play around with it and try what you hear. Now, again, popping over to the blue, big difference in sound, big difference in EQ. So this just goes to show you that mics react different ways to sound. So I'm going to kick it back over to since we're talking podcasting, I'm going to go back to the Shure. Now, I have this specifically set up to be cranked on my fader, if you noticed, and this is just so I can quickly get to the level I want to be at, and I'm adjusting my input gain here a little bit lower than it normally would be to kind of make up for that. So it's just this is more of a convenience pull right now, the way this is set up. So I hope that answered your question, Fred. Let's go to the next one. Jason says, say I have 3 guys in a talk show. I want to bring in a guest. How do the 3 guys in the studio hear the guest on Zoom? Do the host need earpieces? Interesting, Jason. So tell me a little bit more about this if you can, but from what I'm looking at, is everyone on Zoom? Or you're just bringing the guest in from Zoom and you have the other, the other cast members on site? Because if that's the case, then yes, you would have to what you'd have to do is you'd have to have an output from Zoom, and that would have to, let me go back to my question slide so you can see me a little better. So what we'd have to do is to reiterate the question. Oh, he's coming in. Host on site, guest from Zoom. Perfect. So yeah, I would definitely set up headsets or earpieces for everybody and just use a headphone splitter. I know Behringer makes a nice one. It's a little one. It's like the size of a wallet, and it gives you 4 outs. If you have something like the Rodecaster Pro, for example, this gives you 4 headphone outs as well. So what I would do there is you'd bring the input from the guest from Zoom and send them out to the headphone mix. And in this way, you don't have to play him through speakers. And this way, those speakers aren't feeding back into the microphones that everyone's using. So everyone in Zoom will be able to hear him just fine, or him or her, whoever it is, with a set of headphones. And then you don't have to worry about bleed or anything like that. So that would be the best way to go. And then obviously you got to look at how you're setting up for if you're streaming this or you're just doing audio only. But yeah. Yep. How do I... Yep. Headphones would do it. Do the host need earpieces? I mean, everyone would be wearing headphones. This way everybody can hear everybody. So cool. Thank you for that question. All right. Bob says, I have my church on Mevo 3-pack, but they want to run this with Auto Director because they have limited staff. Can the sound system work through the multicam app? You know what, Bob? I love that question, and I have something special for you. I'm going to show you in just a second. Let me answer Fred's next, and then we'll dive into yours because that's a great segue into our next segment show. Fred says, does EQ affect the buzzing sound that someone might hear when no one is speaking into the microphone? Maybe. Chances are you're hearing analog hiss or room hiss coming from the microphones. Really, with any type of buzzing type noise, you want to try and incorporate a noise suppressor. If you don't have one digitally, like on a system like OBS, you can purchase them. You can just get line noise suppressors, and what they'll do is, even you can get one from a guitar pedal will work because you're using line signals, and that'll cut out any type of buzzing or unwanted hums or anything like that. So that's where I would go with that. All right. Cool. Thank you for that question, Fred. So, Bob TV, we're going to go into your question right now. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the multicam app, and then we can take a look. All right. Cool. Oh, there's a referral slide. So of course, guys, if you haven't signed up yet, go to mevo.com and sign up for get your referral code. Here we go. Great. Awesome. So, am I still good? Looks like my sync's a little off. Hold on a second. Has that been off the whole time, guys? You gotta tell me these things. You gotta tell me these things. Give me 1 second. There we go. So what just happened there is, for some reason, sometimes, and this could be solely for my system, my OBS system, sometimes it lags. I don't know. And it simply just reset the camera in the system, and it seems to sync right back up. Cool. So we're talking multicam for Bob TV, right? So I have a multicam set up right here. Lucky for you today. Move that little string out of the way. So I set up 3 different cameras. There's a nice shot of the Yeti family. Now the question was the audio, right? Like, can I run one audio and then still have the auto director running? So what we're going to do first is let's turn the auto director on. All right, and I should be transitioning every couple of seconds now or so. Perfect. And then now let's go into our audio mixer. So that's going to be this kind of waveform on the bottom right there. So the way I have this set up is I have on the Mevo 22XCH channel, our first channel here. Excuse me. That is whatever audio is coming from my mixer. So this channel is going to hear everything you guys hear. So if I want, for example, watch the faders when I put the music up a little bit. So there you go. So now I have a channel that will have not only the music that I can run to it, but also my voice. And also on this channel, it's important to know that, where's my mixer? There it is. I can control that channel individually with this knob. So I can run music, let's say, that you guys are hearing right now. But this, if I have this control knob completely off, it's not sending the signal, which is coming out of this headphone jack right here, to the Mevo. So if I go back to the multicam app, you'll notice that there's no real fader movement on the CH channel. There's a little bit on the bottom, but that's below the noise level, and it's really muted. That it's just capturing signal from the board, which is a lot of it that just the analog hiss. But notice, as the cameras are changing, right, we're still only hearing that one audio track. Or we're only selecting that one audio track. And then I can just simply turn my knob up on my mixer here, and there we go. We have signal on that channel. So regardless of what camera you're looking at, that'll be my main audio, let's say, for this for this presentation, right? Now, you can do more. So if I mute that and go to the next one, this is CHK, which I believe is, let me look at my notes. Yes. So this one, in the middle, the CHK, and when I say CHK, I'm just referencing the last 3 letters of the name of the camera. That is using the internal microphone audio from that specific camera. So if I go back to my cameras here, now if I were to play this, and again, you guys are hearing me from a different view, you're not hearing what's happening in this app, but you could see it. You would be hearing the internal microphone from the microphone facing those blue microphones. Well, it shows a lot of microphones in that sense. But again, you can see, as long as I select that one and the other 2 are muted, that will be my source audio for my mix. Now, on this one, I have something special going on. So on this one, I don't have the internal microphone, and I'm not using the line input as like I am on the first, on the XCH. I'm using actually the Mevo mic app. So if you notice that this Mevo mic app is connected, it's muted right now, but it's connected to 24DW6, right? If you go back into the multicam app, 24DW6 right there. And if I unmute it, now looks like, you know what? I think I have some other inputs on. So this is great. So if you notice, I muted my remote mic app, but I'm still getting signal here, which means I need to go back into my Mevo 2.0 app and see if there's any other channels on, which I bet you there is. So let's get off of this one, and we need to go to DW6. We're going to connect to this one. Oh, there you go. So there's that message that it's already being used in the multicam app. So I'll just dive right back into the multicam app, go to my cameras, and disconnect. Yes. So now that will allow me to open this back up in the 2.0 app. Okay, boom, there we go. Let me hop into my audio mixer. And yes, so I'm looking at the audio mixer now, and as I can see, the internal audio is also on with the remote mic app from the Galaxy S9 Plus. You can see there. So I want to make sure I mute that. This way, only the Galaxy S9 Plus will be what's sent to this particular camera in my multi-stream, my multi-camera. Okay, so let's bump out of that. Let's go back into our multicam app. And we're going to wait for that Mevo to pop back up. There it is. I believe it was DW6. We're going to connect to that. We're going to slide over. There we go. Perfect. So now, if you look at the DW6 channel, there's nothing happening because my Galaxy S9 Plus is muted. If I unmute this and I go back to my multicam app, there we go. So now it's picking up my voice. I have this on my phone right here, and I have a little microphone connected to it. So now, what did I just do, right? What options do I have? I now have 3 different audio sources that, when selected, will work on every video, regardless of what video is playing. So I have my main coming out of here, and if I want that music back, there it is. I have right here where I can use the internal audio. So let's say that this Mevo is pointed at like an audience, and you want to get the audience sound, but you want to blend it in. You kind of maybe can bring it up that way. Now you have your main audio and then an audience audio. And then let's say there's someone else on not near you or not near the system, and they need mic access as well. You can hook them up with a lav or the remote mic app and have that going through another camera. So each 3 of these cameras are using completely different types of audio, but they can work together or separately, however you want. So hopefully that breaks that down. So let's slide into the questions and see what else we got. Looks like we have nothing coming in. Okay, cool. Great. So I'm glad that I got to, thank you for that question too. I'm glad I got to show that demo, because this is something that a lot of our customers are really struggling with as far as how to run audio using the multicam app. A lot of times they don't realize that you have to be very particular about what your choices are, and you also have to make sure you're setting yourself up for success, right? So I had to go back into the Mevo 2.0 app on one of the Mevos because I needed to shut off one of the audio sources that I didn't want to use. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Cool. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to double check and make sure we have no questions coming in. Let's take a look. And let's bring Zoom. Cool. Cool. Sweet. All right. It looks like we're good on questions there. Looks like we're good on questions here. So, okay. I want to say thank you for everyone that watched our show today. We're going to end it here. If you do run into any questions, or if you have to watch this on a replay, please post them in the comments anyway. We'll be sure to check those out. And then, of course, I'll say it one more time. If you haven't picked up the 3-pack of the Mevo Start, please do so. It is available exclusively at Mevo.com. And then if you are a Mevo customer and you do want to spread that Mevo love, here's a referral again. Save 5% of your friends and earn 5% on your end. You go to Mevo.com/referral or Mevo.com/refer. My name is Joseph Pisani. Thank you for joining me today, and we will see you next week. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Mevo Camera, on all the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you can find internet. Take care.